We had another really good episode of Apothecary Diaries, and I know you're probably getting tired of me saying this over and over again, but honestly, this anime is very good. I mean, I really can't say this enough, but I enjoy every episode of this anime and have continued to enjoy every episode of this season. So, this episode, though, has brought in a lot of clues, but not necessarily a straight line to get from point A to point B. So let me point out some stuff that some people might have missed. The biggest thing is, here we have the very young concubine, and she's still kinda, not as bad, but she still has her ladies in waiting kind of bullying her. Like, they don't really care about her for some reason. I guess it's because of how young she is that the other ones don't really feel like she's of some sort of authority. We learned of a few different things. Well, let me backtrack real quick. And we learned, if you remember last episode, the girl that committed suicide, supposedly. Now, it was deemed as a suicide, but Maomao thinks differently. Now, granted, she has no bearing or no clues or anything, so she just kind of goes with what everyone else is saying. We still have to move on. She still has to kind of move on, and it's like, you know what? Hey, it's not her job. As Jinshi keeps asking her, oh, do you think it's a suicide? It's not her job to figure that out. She can give her thoughts of things, but it's ultimately Jinshi's job to figure out and what the ruling would be. In this case, basically, because she committed suicide, they're deeming her as the culprit of poisoning or trying to poison this young concubine, and that it was all her fault and everything is, solved now. Well, we of course have this tea party that's going on, and we learned that for whatever reason, the little girl doesn't like honey or is allergic to it of some sort. So Mama picks up on that and is able to get the honey tea that was going to be served to her kind of shooed away. Well, that was clue number one. It's like, okay, she has a lot of different food issues. So it's like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. Later, Maomao is directed to help out by Jinshi to help out the pure consort, the girl that's in the purple hair, the concubine that's the oldest, given no orders, just go help him out. So of course, Maomao's like, that's a little weird, but Maomao being Maomao finds different clues leading to issues that they had talked about in the past. So Maomao goes to this pavilion and learns of a few things. One, the head lady in waiting here is pretty old, and as she said, normally would be good for a wife of someone because she does a diligent job in cleaning and doing different things. She did pick up on her injury. She has wrapping around her arm, and Maomao knows that, okay, whomever's sending these secret messages probably accidentally burned themselves. So that's another clue. It's like, this is a little weird. Also, the fact that because of how old she is, she must be super loyal to her concubine as the head lady. And that also gives her motive to try to do something against the very young concubine to get her out of the way. So then that way, because there's a rumor that they may be getting rid of the older pure consort concubine because of her age. And she's actually apparently a year older than the emperor itself. So there's a rumor that she might be getting rid of. And as the head lady in waiting, you want to keep your job. you don't want to, if you actually have some connections with this concubine, you want to get rid of the competition. So then that way they don't get rid of the woman or her boss, if you will. So that's motive for her to actually do something or coordinate something. But of course, nothing concrete yet. Maomao does talk to Jinshi and does let him know her thoughts towards things. And then also picks up on the fact that, wait a minute, this head lady in waiting deals with honey. Wait a minute, didn't I have the little girl concubine has an issue with honey? So of course Maomao asks her, do you know this woman? And the face, oh my God, the face that she made. Like, Lord, this face is like utmost fear. Like, wait a minute, how do you know? Now the scene cuts out here. And it's like, excuse me, This is like ringing alarm bells of a clue here of some sort, but she says nothing else. So at least we know nothing else as the viewers. We won't know, of course, until next week if something is actually said here. But Maomao, of course, then finishes up the episode by wanting to learn about what happened in the pavilion in the past. And get this, she learns something all right. Apparently, Maomao is so smart that she had already had a hunch of this happening. But come to find out, she has learned of the connection that her dad, the one that's this master, I say master detective, because this guy is like crazy good. But this guy used to be the doctor for the emperor, that he at one point tried to deliver a baby for the emperor at the time a prince years ago, and also for the, at the time, the only concubine the prince had, the girl in purple hair, and the baby didn't make it. So it seems he was faulted for this and expelled from the palace. What amazes me most about this is two things. One, Maomao said that she had a hunch that he actually was connected to the palace, which is crazy because it's like, wait a minute, what made you think it was a hunch? And it had to deal with the fact that all of the flowers, a lot of the flowers that are at the palace are at where she lives or around her father's, area. So she's well versed in a lot of these flowers that are around here. So which means they've been transferred from the palace to where she's at. Well, that can only happen if there's some sort of connection there. And secondly, we as viewers know a few episodes ago when Maomao was sleeping, he said precisely the rear palace, what a twist of fate, which meant he had some connection or something was going on there. I thought at the time that it might have been something to deal with Maomao's mother. Maybe her mother worked at the rear palace and it's something of that nature. But come to find out, he worked at the rear palace as the head doctor. And thus, while Maomao was like, yeah, he is overqualified to be apothecary for the red light district. And it makes sense. And he's a eunuch, which they didn't say that before. But come to find out, which made me wondering, wait a minute, if he's a eunuch, how in the world was Maomao born? Because we know Maomao talked about her mother a lot, and she calls this guy dad, but of course he's way too old looking to be her dad, more like grandfather to me, but still, it's like, well, if he's a eunuch, he definitely isn't her dad per se, or birth father. So what are these connections with Maomao? Like, is she somehow tied to the rear palace as well? I mean, because to be honest, where this guy lives and where Maomao normally lives is literally like almost a block away from the rear palace. It's very close, which we learn later after she tries to return home after kidnapping, because, she was kidnapped. The rear palace could be like miles away, and it's literally just around the block. So I think we'll leave off with this. I think this is probably the most obvious observation off of anyone watching this show. There is a conspiracy that's going on, something to do with the emperor, the current emperor, the emperor's father who died, and some sort of the child that the emperor had that died or something, that was also the emperor and this woman, the pure consort, that there are foster siblings, but now she's a concubine for him and such. There's something going on here. And I'm gonna make a leap observation. If you look at this woman, doesn't she remind you of somebody? Maybe someone named Jinshi of some sort, kind of purple hair, supposedly like good looking. How she looks like a pretty boy is probably the best way to say it. How this guy right here is like, knows he has good looks and uses it to his advantage. It's too much of a coincidence to kind of be like, So there's got to be some kind of connection with anything and everything, but we won't know where everything lines up until at least the next episode, because like I said, this episode was just basically a whole bunch of clues thrown out to be like breadcrumbs for you kind of piece together like, that is an interesting occurrence. But now we probably will get everything tied together later. I am really looking forward to more from this anime, and the fact that I looked up and I did check it out, this anime is supposed to have 24 episodes. So this is not ending anytime soon, which it only just makes me smile because this is definitely like the best anime for this season. And the fact that we get more and more episodes for it, I'm all for it. So let me know what you guys think, and definitely comment down below. How do you guys see all this connected and stuff? And definitely no spoilers, of course, but like the video and make sure you guys are subscribed for more, because we'll definitely talk about this one and several others here on the channel. You guys be safe, take care, and Lord willing, I will see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Make sure to check out the extra content on our Patreon page, and thanks to our current patrons.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.